Hostess Cupcakes for this week, and it was a tough challenge. This was a really good one. It was a good technical because there was lots of steps, lots of different things to do, but it was difficult, and I will tell you why it's difficult. So I think a lot of girls probably had never beaten egg whites before, and so to know when they're stiff, when they're glossy, how stiff, how glossy, that's really tough. And then also to be able to fold something in is a real trick, like to know how much to fold it in without folding and beating the air out of the egg whites. That's really important. And we all felt, and so this is a product of the recipe, we think, they were all dry. All the batters were dry, and so they probably didn't have maybe enough fat in the recipe, but it's just a product of to know how to work with egg whites, which is really tough, and to know when you're beating too much, because that's a really easy thing to do with egg whites. And then the ganache on the top, that's a tricky thing too, is to know when it's glossy and warm enough, and how to put it on the cupcake, and when it's going to be smooth, and how cool or warm it is to put on the cupcake. That's a really tough thing. And the girls did a really good job with the ganache. I think they all looked really good.
Collectively, they all had a pretty...
Yeah, they all looked smooth. They all looked pretty. I think it was a really tough challenge. There was a lot of steps, a lot of different things to incorporate. You had to melt chocolate, you had to beat egg whites, you had to fold egg whites in, you had to beat the egg whites in and then fold the rest of the egg whites in. You had to bake them proproperly, you had to put the right amount into the pan. There was a lot of really tricky steps.
Piping into
and the piping on top, which is also tricky.
Opening. To get 7 or 8 actual loops was really hard.
Yeah. So
well
I mean,
done,
it was a really tricky
impressive.
recipe, and I think they did a good job considering, but it was a hard one. That was a really good one.
Yeah.
It was. So in third place in the technical challenge was number 9. Number 9 was my favorite Hostess cupcake. Almost the minute that I bit into all the pieces at once, I felt like I was 7 years old and in my lunchbox, which was tin at the time. And it totally took me back. The components worked really well together. The icing, the ganache on the top was delicious. And it was just the right amount of filling for cake ratio. It was great. I love number 9. So congrats on third place.
Second place, there was a tie between number 2 and number 19. Number 2, when I first walked up to the table, I was like, oh my gosh, those are perfect. That had my top score for the 7 to 8 swirls and looking just like a Hostess cupcake. So that was my top score. I loved number 2, and it tasted really good altogether. And same with 19, everything just worked really well together. It looked good and it tasted good, and everything just kind of came together. So good job. I'm impressed.
All right, and then in first place, and this was a runaway winner, clear cut. They won. The next highest score was 11. Well, they won by 11 points. So, runaway was for number 13 and 15. Awesome job. They looked perfect. We found it was hard. A lot of them didn't have very much of the inside filling, and this one had a great amount of filling. The swirls were perfect, that nice 7 to 8 they got on every single one. The ganache was really smooth. It was just picture perfect all around. They did a wonderful job. Good job.
The 4 cupcakes were like really consistent too. That was hard. Like some of
Yeah,
them,
they all looked the same.
have a lot of frosting, and then the next one wouldn't quite have as much. And they're number 13 and 15 did a great job. So your third place winner is Charlotte.
Nice.
Your second place tie is Sarah and Lily.
Nice.
And your first place runaway winner is Claire and Erica.
Nice job, girls.
What number is it?
13,
15.
13 and number 15.
So right there with the red plate. Nice job, girls.
Yeah.
All around a great job. This was a tough one.
Yeah,
this is a really tough one.
hard. It was a good technical challenge.
Yeah.
I need some milk.
We all need milk.
I really do too.
Not wine, but milk.
Yeah, right, exactly. Next time. So tune in next week all for for another signature bake, but not a technical challenge. And you guys did great. You should be super proud of yourselves. Thank you guys so much. See you next time.